Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. First of all, I would like to thank the organizers for this opportunity given to us, and also welcome all for this live jam forum discussion. My name is Wong. I'm from Multimedia University, Malaysia, and I'm the host and the moderator for this 1 hour session. So the program title today is Sustainable and Mindfulness Green Technology Towards Sustainable Well-Being. So to start off this session, let me throw a few general keywords that people often talk about in related to this title. Things like design for living, humanizing design, or design and sustainability, or towards sustainability and well-being of the society. So this forum actually consists of 3 panel experts from both academics as well as industry player in Malaysia and also from the Australia. So the theme of the forum is well-being of the society. And 2 of our speakers are active researchers and academician from both from Multimedia University Malaysia and also RMIT University in Australia. And their research profile is more on sustainability and design with technology, and also sustainable consumption and mindfulness. And we also have a third speaker here in this forum. Is from Malaysia's local industry, and he is in the field of design maker of sustainable furniture and home living products, advocating to Malaysia's growing mindfulness for green design, sustainable consumption, and proper management of local forest. So the team expertise here varies in a wide and diverse field, covering all the topics in the discussion theme. So let me introduce all the 3 panels one by one, and later I will pass to them. The first speaker of this forum today is Ms. Sharifah Nurliana Wafa, or we can call her Nana. And she is a lecturer from the Multimedia University, a Faculty of Creative Multimedia in Malaysia. And her area of expertise and research will be more on the graphics, multimedia design, advertising, corporate communication practices, media, and technology, with the applications to the society and well-being as well. And she will share her research findings of media and technology in relation to the society well-being. And we also have a second speaker, which is Miss Panatram, or Jamie. She is affiliated with RMIT University in Australia, a lecturer and a researcher in the field of sustainable consumption and mindfulness. And her area of expertise includes well-being, includes food wastage, sustainable consumptions, and also mindfulness. And her works contribute to a lot of sustainable environment, well-being, and the society as well. And finally, we have a third speaker here, Mr. Harith Ridwan, as we can call him Harith Green Carpenter, more well-known. He is a CEO and a founder of a company in Malaysia. It's the Green Factory in Malaysia, and a designer maker of sustainable furniture and home and living products, and founded the Green Factory in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. So I think the Green Factory adopts a holistic approach towards manufacturing chains, and sustainability is the core of the company's mission. So without further ado, let me invite our first speaker to share her knowledge and experience. So I shall pass this session to Ms. Sharifah Nurliana, and over to you, Nana, sorry.
Thank you, Professor Wong. My name is Nurliana. Like Professor Wong mentioned just now, I'm a lecturer at the Faculty of Creative Multimedia at Multimedia University, Malaysia. But I'm also a PhD candidate at the School of Media and Communication at, in RMIT, Australia. So let me share my slide. Okay, can you see it now?
Yes, we can see. Go ahead.
Okay. All right, it's great to be here, to be part of the Design Day Marathon. So, what I'm going to share with you today is partly related to my PhD research. Actually, my research is not specifically focused on well being or sustainability, but instead, my research focuses on the adoption of augmented reality technology in marketing communications. I wanted to understand how the industry practitioners perceive AR technology. So I interviewed creative, advertising, and digital agency practitioners, as well as marketers in Malaysia and Australia. But we'll talk about that in a bit. First, let's briefly talk about what is well-being. According to Merriam-Webster Dictionary, well-being is defined as the state of being happy, healthy, or prosperous. There are many facets of well-being, such as spiritual well-being, social well-being, environmental well-being, mental and emotional well-being, financial well-being, and many others. So it's quite a broad concept. But in today's environment, technology plays a big part in our daily lives and on how we lead our lives, right? Whether we realize it or not, technology has a major impact on our well-being. So the question now is that how use of technology to maintain our well-being, and we as designers and developers can ensure that the application that we create can help lead to a sustainable well-being. I'm not in the position to give well-being advice, but what I'll do today is that I will highlight things that you could consider the next time you interact with technology or the next time you develop an application, a technological application. And in this case, I'm referring to augmented reality. But what is augmented reality anyway? So, augmented reality, or AR for short, is a technology that superimposes digital content into our physical environment. Some people use the term overlay, some use the term merge, but ultimately it describes a technology that combines both the physical as well as the digital. For example, if you know the IKEA Place app, you can actually visualize furniture in your living room before you actually purchase it. So you can estimate the size of the chair or the color of the chair at the corner of your room just by using a mobile device. Now, there are many ways that you can actually experience AR content. It's not just through mobile devices. For example, you could experience it through wearable devices like smart glasses, for example, or large LED displays. And recent advances, they are experimenting how AR can be used on in micro wearable devices such as contact lenses. So, one of the findings in my research indicated that AR designers and developers have ethical concerns about the future impact of AR on users' well-being. Given AR's ability to combine both the digital and real environment, they believe that AR could pose threats in so many things like users' privacy, their security, and that includes their well-being. Some of the examples, no, these are some of the becomes like a new drug. People who are lonely and isolated suddenly have this escape. And another example, have technology attacking you all the time is just very overwhelming. So the data that I got from the interviews were analyzed and categorized according to relevant themes about AR's impact on users' well-being. Among the issues that they highlighted that relates to well-being is first, the potential excessive use of AR that could lead to digital addiction. Second, highly realistic rendering of virtual objects that makes it difficult for people to differentiate what's real and what's not. And the third one is sensory overload. So sensory overload is when a person experiences overstimulation from the environment, such as through visuals or sound, noise, and even from the crowd itself. So basically, this means that the AR technology could open up the Pandora box of issues in the future. I'm sure you are aware of the Pokemon Go AR app. Yeah, perhaps some of you would be aware that the Pokemon Go app has actually caused traffic accidents when users were driving while trying to search for Pokestops. So that was among the early warnings of negative AR implications. Now, let's look at some examples related to these three issues found in my research. So the first one is the excessive AR use that could lead to digital addiction. For example, if you have an augmented real life or miniature sized digital friend with artificial intelligence that responds to your questions, that communicates with you, that comforts you, there's a possibility that you could be addicted to this experience, which might affect your actual social interactions with real people. And I believe this may well be applied to all sorts of technology and not just AR, right? It could somehow affect our social well-being if it's not properly controlled. Secondly, highly realistic rendering of virtual objects that could make it difficult for people to distinguish what's real and what's not. Now, this could potentially lead to identity theft, for example. We already have deepfakes where people with malicious intent can use someone else's face to send false information, for example. Or if you see something as surrealistic as this 3D pot here, would you be able to differentiate it or, to distinguish it between the one on the right, which is the real one? So this inability to distinguish what's real and what's not could also affect our mental well-being. I remember this one example. This is on a slightly different note. I saw this AR prototype that tested hand gesture controls. At one point, this person actually raised his hand to reach for an AR object, which seems to be really close to the ceiling fan. At that point, it gives me chills thinking about what if that fan is close enough and this person is so focused in the AR experience that he didn't realize that his hand is actually reaching for a high-speed fan. So, because sometimes people have selective attention where we can only focus on something that we ignore everything else that is not important to us. So that is really scary, I would say. And then the third one, there's sensory overload, where we are overwhelmed by all the augmented content. I would like to bring you to a hypothetical future where AR has become a part of our daily lives. This is a conceptual video by Keiichi Matsuda in 2016, where this video actually depicts a distressing future where our physical environment is saturated with layers of digital content that are constantly present in every aspect of our lives. It is called hyperreality. Everything seems to be in your face. That makes it really difficult to concentrate on a single message, let alone, be aware of our physical surroundings. So let's watch the video.
Fantastic. Great. Nice. Great.
Bastante. Apúrate si quieres una buena calificación.
Voy lo más rápido que puedo.
¿Has pensado en correr? Es saludable y eficiente.
Seguro que no hay más trabajos disponibles. Yo estudié para ser profesora y estoy haciendo mercados.
Y además puedes quedarte con los puntos de fidelización. Eres una amante afortunada. Tienes que confiar en la aplicación. ¿Te sientes inspirada? Gracias. Chao.
¿Quién soy yo? No, eso no es lo que quiero decir. ¿Para dónde voy? No. Voy a volver a empezar. Olvídalo.
Estoy presente. Me amo. Estoy libre de mi ira. Estoy libre de mi tristeza.
Adiós. Bueno. Hola otra vez. Ay, no, cállate.
Okay, I guess I'll stop there. But basically, you get the idea, right? If you want, you can search for the full video. Just go to YouTube and search for Hyper Reality by Keiichi Matsuda. So, as you can see, there's information, there's advertising, there's entertainment everywhere. And I do mean everywhere. You know, all forms of communication are augmented in your physical space. But I don't know about you, but that's quite distressing to me. It could affect my mental and emotional well-being at the same time. Later, if you manage to watch the full video to the end, something happened to this Juliana character that could actually affect her physical well-being as well. And I would imagine this experience is possible through AR smart glasses because the experience is so seamless. You just use voice commands or gesture controls to interact with the system. So from the video, with everything that's happening, right, how can we truly be aware of our physical surroundings? We might not notice that a car is actually coming from behind us, or there could be someone creeping behind us to actually steal our purse, you know? So that's a big challenge for everyone here to think about. Would that be the future that we are heading towards? How will this affect our well-being? So to me, I think technology should be developed and used responsibly. Technology should be there to solve problems, to make our lives better, make our lives easier, but not to the point where it endangers us or we lose our identity or sanity. So the key question that needs to be asked is, what problems are we solving? If it doesn't solve a problem, then I guess it creates more problems. If we go back to the definition of well-being at the beginning, it is the state of being happy, healthy, or prosperous. So can AR or any technology for that matter aid us to achieve this state? I will let you think about that. Thank you. That's all from me.
Okay, thank you, Nana, for the sharing. And from here, we can actually see how the technology plays a role also in our daily life and in terms of sustainability and so on. So let's move on to hear from the second speaker, Jamie. She is from the RMIT University in Australia. I will pass it to you, Jamie, for your talk. Thank you.
Thank you, Nana and Dr. Wong, and thank you for a very impressive presentation, Nana. It's really inspiring, and it's really connected to what I'm going to say. So, Nana take you to the future, but I want you to take into the present and into our past. So, let me share my screen to you first. Just a bit of background. My name is Cham, Cham, and you can call me Chami. I'm from RMIT University as a lecturer, and I'm also a researcher at Five Footway Australia, a project funded by Australian government. So thank you for having me here today to share with you about the relationship between sustainability and human well-being, whether these two concepts are in conflict. So let's talk first about the relationship between human and nature. So you see, we are not different from animals. Just like animals, we need the resources from the earth in order to sustain our life. At the same time, we're generating waste to the earth. An example of that is a simple act of breathing. When you breathe, you take the oxygen from the earth. At the same time, you release carbon dioxide. So you see, like, we are no different from a bird. We are not different from a fish. But what makes us different is that we're taking the resources, sometimes not renewable. And we're also generating waste that is sometimes not compostable, such as plastic. So now let's talk first about consumption. If every person in this earth consumes as much as one China resident consumes, we really need 2.3 Earths to sustain. And that number even bigger in some other countries, such as in the US. So in the US, they need even 4 Earths to sustain. As you can see, we are running out of resources. When we're talking about waste, every person in urban area, whether you live in London, New York, Ho Chi Minh City, Tokyo, Beijing, the average consumption every day that every person wastes is 1.6 kilograms of solid waste. Now, if you think like 1.6 kilograms of waste is a very small number, let's multiply it with the number of population of Beijing, for example, which is 21 million in 2021. And when you multiply it, you have the number which is 33,600 tons of solid waste every day. And they not disappear, right? It may disappear from your house because you just take the trash can, go into the trash to the truck, and the truck drive into the landfill. But at the landfill, they sit there, pollute water, pollute the soil, generate greenhouse gases. And because of the greenhouse gases and the pollution, we have something called climate change. And the result of climate change is what we are already experiencing. And one of that is global warming. So with global warming, in 2081, we expect that the temperature will increase by 11 degrees Celsius. So the hot summer day in Beijing may be at the moment 30 degrees Celsius. But in 2081, it's gonna be 41 degrees Celsius. It's very hot and warm, and this is where the life that your children and your grandchildren will be living in. So it's not only the heat that's bothering us. Global warming can lead into other things, such as extreme weather, such as heat waves, such as flooding, or the disaster. And more than that, it can melt the ice from the North Pole and the South Pole. As a result, the sea level will increase, and therefore, certain areas on the Earth will disappear completely. One of that is Mekong Delta in my country, or maybe Shanghai too. So we don't want that, right? And we are living in the COVID-19 new normal. We can, stay at home, keep social distancing, we can wear a mask and we are safe. But with climate change, we cannot run anywhere. And the lesson that we learned from the COVID-19 is that the cost of prevention is far lower than the cost of failure to prevent. And we need to act now, every person of us. But how we can do that? Now let's take a look back at well-being first, because when we live, we want to have a well-being life. And then I just mentioned to you a very beautiful definition of well-being. But in order to measure well-being, we use something called life satisfaction. And when you go back to life satisfaction, when you think about that word, what strikes you the most? It is the memories, the experience, or the things that you have. So we are living in the society of consumerism. So in the consumerism, we think that we have more money. If we have more money, we have more things, we become happier. But is this the case? So a study from Journal of Cleaner Production in 2015 showed that when you reach a certain level of income, the more you have isn't necessary leading to a more well-being life. Taking an example from my country, for example, the GDP of Vietnam increasing significantly throughout the year. But as you can see, from 2007, the life satisfaction remaining the same. It means like we do not need to consume more in order to be happier. At the same time, when you look back up at the relationship between us and human, the earth and human, you can see like the well-being of the earth actually what make our well-being. For example, if you drink polluted water, polluted air, it immediately impacts on your health. So the first thing you need to do in order to protect your well-being is to protect the earth. And I want to introduce you the model, the lifestyle that you can balance out between the well-being of yourself and well-being of the earth. That is called the zero-waste lifestyle. The zero-waste lifestyle consists of 5 R's, which are refuse, reduce, reuse, recycle, and road. For refuse, it means you avoid buying things that you don't need. So that thing in life that we really want, when you buy it, you really ask yourself whether you need that product. And then it comes to reduce, so trying to reduce waste. For example, when it comes to food waste, trying to consume as much as you can from the dish, from the plate, and finish off your dish. That's the very first step to reduce waste. Now, when it comes to reuse, an example of that is the comparison between fast fashion and slow fashion. With fast fashion like Zara, H&M, you have the pressure to buy the new seasonal clothes every year, every season. And then you just wear that, fancy clothes for just one or twice. But if you're buying slow fashion, right? Slow fashion here meaning endurable, classic design that can last for a lifelong. You can reuse multiple times. And then it comes to recycle when the product is the end of the life cycle of it, thinking of the creative way to make a new product from the materials. And finally, drought. Drought here meaning like when you have the organic products, such as food, and don't just throw it away. Thinking a way to compose that one into fertilizer and bring it into your garden. So you can see this is the perfect example of zero-waste lifestyle. But it's very overwhelming and it's like you cannot start in day one. That's why you need a support from a lot of resources. And one of it is from the industry. And this is where our research about. So the research that I'm working on with our team in Australia is a 5 food waste CSC, which is funded by Australian government. We're working with the industry, with retail chain, and also with the government in order to transfer packaging from zero to hero. So normally, when we mention a packaging, is like a devil, right? We think about the plastic, we think about the cardboard, and we think like they are no good. But that's why we need to redesign the packaging in order to make the packaging to become the hero, in order to protect food waste, and it can be the hero in reducing the waste overall. And how we can do that? We did a comprehensive research in order to identify problems with packaging in Australia, and we identified two main problems. The first one is packaging offering. So the household structure in Australia is relatively small, from 1 to 4 people per household. However, the portion size that offered by the supermarket is a big one. People love buying bulk. And then the second problem with the packaging is that it doesn't provide the storage function so that people can use it multiple times. Instead, it just just being simply very flimsy when you use it, and then you just throw it away. So we want to redesign it. And the next one is that the second problem is that the on-pack information and label is not informative enough for the user in order to know how to store product, how to extend their line, and how to maintain food safety. So we really need to rethinking about the design to actually match with the consumer at the same time meeting the need of the industry. So I'll show you some of our mock-up design that we already did. And there are just 3. We did like 20 of them, but I will show you the 3 design. So the first one is the design for the eggs. You can see the design is no different from the original, eggs packaging. But what's different is the material we are using is compostable and it's extra strong so that it can very endurable. We also, for the information on the packaging, we also provide the flow test. So from our interview, we learned that sometimes people throw away the eggs that's still edible because they're afraid of food safety. On the other hand, there are people eating rotten egg and end up to the hospital because of food poisoning. So we want to avoid these 2 extreme scenarios. So we introduce the flow test. So with the flow test, you put the egg into the glass of water, and if it sinks, it means the egg is still fresh, and you are good for, you can cook for like very fresh recipes such as poaching. If the flow is halfway, it means the egg is still edible, but it's not fresh enough, so you need to cook it thoroughly, and therefore it's ideal for baking. And if it flows to the top, it means the egg is already rotten. You need to compose it and use it for your gardening. The second example is frozen calamari design. So in this design, we want to change the portions. So normally in the supermarket in Australia, when you buy seafood, it normally in big package, and it's normally from 750 grams to 1 kilo. However, you know already that the seafood, when you put into the freezer and then you defrost it, you cannot put it back into the freezer again. If you cannot use the whole seafood, then you throw the rest away, and this will contribute to food waste. So what we do is that we divide the packaging into 3 smaller portions of 250 grams, and the 250 grams is calculated from our extensive research to understand what is the optimal size for on every recipe that using calamari, and therefore we get that number of 250 grams. And you can, so when the consumer using the product, they just need to take 1 package at a time. So the other 2 packages will be still safe. Okay, and also on the label, we provide information of how the consumer can freeze, defrost, and after defrost, how many days they can still use the product. The last one is loose apples. So loose apple is not rocket science because we can see everywhere in Asian, but in Australia, they normally sell apples in plastic package with 6 apples each. So the problem with that is that the consumer cannot choose each apple inside the package. So we just don't want that. We want something more user-friendly, something can serve both sides. So we redesign it. We no longer have that package anymore. We have the box for the consumer to choose from. On the box, there also information of how they can store the apple longer and how they can do after they consume the apple. But the rest of apple, you can compost it, for example. So these are the example of what we did when we apply design thinking to address sustainable problem. And I think that is it of my presentation. My last sentence that I want to share with you is that imagination makes us human. That's a quote that I really love from a very famous author, Yuval Noah Harari, the author of the book Sapiens and Homo Deus. So with our imagination, we can create very beautiful, magnificent things like space travel, travel across continent, for example. But at the same time, imagination also harm the earth. So I hope that from today, you can use your imagination to build our earth become a better place. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much for the sharing, Jamie. Now we can see a lot of things about food wastage and also about the sustainability aspect. And this is really designed for our living, our well-being in the society. So thanks again for this sharing. And now I would like to move on to this session with our third speaker. He is Mr. Harith Green Carpenter, as what he is being referred to. And he's the founder of the Green Factory in Kuala Lumpur. Let's have a hearing on his insights about, especially on the industry over here in Malaysia. Over to you, Harith. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Wong. Hi, everyone. I'm Harith. I'm also known as the Green Carpenter. My family owns a furniture manufacturing business. It's been established by my parents since 1993. So in 2012, I decided to move the direction of the company from doing traditional or things what everyone else is doing to a more sustainable way. So I will share my screen now. Okay. So, so it's not shared. Share. Okay. Since it's a family business, since I was 10 years old, during school holiday, I will have to go to the factory. When people go for holiday, travel, and have fun, I have to work at the factory since I was 10 years old. So I wasn't really happy at that time, but it's a good exposure for me. And it was until I would do it every year until I was at uni. And I learned a lot about the industry and also grow inside the industry. In 2008, after I finished my study, I came back to Malaysia and continue helping the family business. So I go in officially and I dive deeper into the industry. And after 4 years, I have to decide on how can I bring the company, how do I want to continue the business? And I decided to look into the industry. Just to share with you, Malaysia is one of the top 10 manufacturer of furniture. So our furniture industry is very strong, but there's very little sustainable practices being done, and there's a lot of waste being created. So I decided to do something about it. And at that time as well, our deforestation rate was one of the highest in Southeast Asia. So I feel bad that my business is actually related to forestry So I wanted to move towards a more sustainable way. So in 2012, I started to venture into green furniture. But at that time, I don't know much about sustainable furniture or green furniture because there's not a lot of reference around. So I do a lot of the things myself. And right now, it's almost 9 years already. We are in the green furniture and wood products business. A little bit about my company. We celebrated 28 years this year, and our strength is furniture and interior. We received a lot of achievement. Just to share some of it, there's Malaysia Sustainability Award in 2019. In 2018, we won the Good Design Award, and also in 2018 as well, Europa Award for Sustainability. These are some of the work that we do. We work a lot with architect and designers, and we do a lot of wood in our interior as well. We also have our own brands. We have 4 different brands that focus on different things. These are all sustainable products and services. And we have the Green Factory, which focusing on furniture or home item that is from recycled wood. Dapo, homeware and gifts. Nokta, we work a lot with external designers like Italian designers, Japanese designers, and also Malaysian designers. And Ora Nembula is our fashion accessory. So that's my factory alarm. These are some of the stuff that we do. We take recycled wood like pallets and crate, and we make products out of it. We make tables, we make chairs, and high value products. Also, like Jamie said before about zero waste, we are practicing zero waste manufacturing. So all the small wood pieces we use to make other things. Like this one, the phone holder, we make from our waste and offcuts, and now it's one of our best sellers. We have sold thousands of it. This is plastic. We use recycled plastic like the shampoo bottles and all that, and we compress it into a plank, and we make furniture, we make trophies out of it. Also fabric, because fashion is one of the most polluting industry. So we are trying to see how we can also contribute in terms of solving the waste issue in the fashion industry. And this one, we are using waste fabric to make benches, and there's a lot of application that we can do and use design to make this work. So that's basically what I do, and it's been an interesting journey because every time we want to look into sustainability, there's always new things to look into. So we need to see sustainability is more than just material. A lot of people see it as just material, but it's more than that. It's about mental health, physical health, cultural preservation, efficiency, and there's so many things that encapsulate sustainability. So that's why these past few years I've been doing a lot of activism work, especially towards businesses, on how businesses can go green. Because right now, sustainability is the keyword, right? Everything one is looking to sustainability. And there's a lot of greenwashing happening around. So that's why for us, for me personally, I'm doing more academic talk. I am sharing all the resource online in social media as well to get more people to understand more about sustainable manufacturing, especially. And hopefully more businesses can move towards more sustainable. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Harith, for the insightful sharing as well. Now we can actually see the sustainability concept is really important in the society, and many things can come out from the concept of sustainability, can even design and all this. So yeah, I'm sure all the participants here, they have learned, or we have learned a lot from this sharing, and we still have a bit of time that we can take some question and answer if anybody would like to throw in questions, can just drop by the questions here in the box. Meanwhile, probably we can have a casual discussion among the three speakers. Yeah, I just have a few casual points to let's chat about. Probably first of all, let me ask Nana. Nana, she is my colleague. Yeah, she came back from Australia very recently, and I see that a lot of work that she's doing in terms of the technology and the design part. So I just want to chat with Nana. What do you see the design and sustainability, especially in the Malaysia's context? Because in relation to your experience that you have in Australia, perhaps can you give us some comments on this?
Okay, I can't comment much on environmental sustainability, especially in comparing between Australia and Malaysia, because when I got back, we're still in lockdown, so I didn't go out much. So I don't know what's the latest updates on what's being done in Malaysia. But I'll give you one small example, but I think it has a huge impact on environmental sustainability, and that is recycling. So I guess in Malaysia, there's still a lot of awareness needed to encourage people to start recycling, among the society. But in Australia, Victoria especially, they actually have a very structured waste and recycling system. So every household actually has three types of waste bins. So one, we have it for general waste, and that is red color. And then we have yellow color for recyclable waste. And we have green color for organic waste like food or garden waste. And recently they just introduced a purple bin that can be used to recycle glass. So actually city councils are the ones who's responsible for the collection and, to manage those waste in their area. But in Malaysia, I think if I'm not mistaken, back in 2015, the government actually, the Malaysian government enforced waste separation. But I don't know whether that's still on, whether that campaign worked or not, because I haven't seen anyone being fined for not separating their waste. So I don't know. I can't say for the whole country though. It could be based on area, perhaps. But where I stay currently, I think the waste management system still needs a lot of improvement. Yeah, I guess we still have a long way to go in that sense.
All right. Thank you for the comment. Now we have actually one question from the public. Is how does the digital media can contribute more to sustainability? Who would like to take up this? Any sharing? Any thoughts on this? Perhaps Harith, do you have any thoughts on this?
Sure. I think before I answer that, I would answer a little bit your previous question about the how Malaysia is doing right now. There's a rise of social enterprise in the ecosystem. So these companies that solve issues, social issues and environmental issues through the vehicle of social enterprise. So rather than relying on money from people like NGO, the way they move, they need money from somewhere. So they have to ask for money. And government, they have limitation on certain things that they can do. So these entrepreneurs, they use the capital system to make money and channel it to the society or to the social cause that they champion. So there's a rise of this kind of entrepreneurship here in Malaysia, but it's still in the very new stage. But it's promising, and hopefully more companies will adopt a sustainable or social entrepreneurship. The next question is digital media and sustainability. It's very important part to adopt digital in terms of moving towards sustainability. Like for me, the company, we are moving toward paperless. So by reducing our paper, we move all of our media online. So like our stock cut, before this, for our products, we have stock cut, physical stock cut, and we have to replace and throw away, replace, throw away. So now it's all digital. So we just scan and update online. So we use less paper, our invoicing, our communication, we do less. So when you talk about digital media, it's about other things as well, which is activism or spreading the message, because there's very limited knowledge about sustainability. There are a lot of information in terms of public sustainability, like don't use plastic, ZeroWaste Lifestyle and all that. But we have limited conversation in terms of businesses and designers on how we are moving our industry towards more sustainable. So we need to have more talk to it. And digital media should be the medium that we are using and conversating. Like, for example, in Malaysia, I founded Green Design Malaysia. It's a community of designers, business people, and student researcher. And we talk about this kind of issues. We have around 1,300 people, a community. So these are some of the things that digital media need to adopt to, or like help in terms of moving sustainability forward. That's my 2 cents.
Okay, thank you, Harith. Being a Malaysian myself, it's really good to hear and relate to all this upcoming and the insights that is provided. Yeah, so we still have a bit of time. Let me conclude this with one more discussion points, probably to Jamie. Yeah, Jamie, understand that you are working in Australia. Yeah, and
Yeah.
are quite involved a lot in this sustainable consumptions, mindfulness, and all these projects. I've seen some of the pictures and all this. Yeah, and nowadays, especially in the pandemic season, people keep talks about the consumptions, talk about mindfulness, talk about society. What do you think about this point? Are the people are really more conscious about consumptions or food wastage or even mindfulness, especially during this pandemic season? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for your question. So actually the keyword of mindfulness and sustainability actually have been a very hot keyword recently. Right before COVID-19 is already very hot topic going around. And mindfulness is something like taking the root from Eastern culture, from China, from Japan, from Tibet. So those kind of elements become more trendy on the West. There's a lot of conversation around mindfulness, especially when we're living in a very stressful environment at the moment. People trying to use mindfulness as a tool in order to ease their life, ease their mental health. And it's become more important in intervention in psychological well-being. And I think it plays a very important part for us to balance our life. With sustainability, nowadays, people, when we are in a very big crisis like this, now people feel the urgency of acting. People know that, as I mentioned in my speech, that people know that the next wave coming is climate change. And with climate change, we cannot do anything like we are applying COVID-19. And it will be in the massive scale. So the conversation arrives not only in like day-to-day, people to people, friend to friend anymore. It becomes in the top level, conversation and discussion around sustainability already. And I'm glad that actually COVID-19 is something like kind of alarming system for every one of us to take action. Yeah.
All right, thank you so much for this insightful sharings. And I guess that's all from our session. Thank you to all our prominent speakers. We have here 3. They are very kind to join me in this session and share all the good, insightful points about the topic. And also a very big thank you to the organizers. And till we meet again next time, yes, we will end this session. Yeah. Back to you, the organizers. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.